Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Honestly Speaking. This is your host, Hamas Najeeb. Alhamdulillah, today I am honored with a very special guest, a teacher of mine, Mufti Yasir Nadeem al-Wajidi sahab. A little bit about Mufti sahab. Mufti sahab is the director of Darul Uloom Online. He's also been serving all around the United States for a very long time. Mufti sahab is a graduate of Darul Uloom Deoband. Mufti sahab also did his ifta in Darul Uloom Deoband. Mufti sahab, Jazakallah khair for giving me your time. Jazakallah khair for being on the show. It's really an honor.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem, Mufti sahab. Mufti sahab, to start off with, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, just your journey from Deoband, your about the madrasa a little bit, and your journey mostly?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I have the privilege of an honor of studying in Deoband. I was born in Deoband in 1982, raised there, and then I had the opportunity to start my studies in Darul Uloom Deoband. So from the beginning till the end, I was a student of Darul Uloom Deoband. Completed my alim course in 2001, and after that I did my 1-year Arabic diploma course there. Then after that, 1-year ifta course. So I spent many years within the madrasa, and our home is maybe a few yards away, if not miles.
You're born, raised in Deoband, the city of Deoband.
In the city of Deoband, and as I said, my house is a few yards away from the madrasa.
So you are really well, you know Deoband like in and out. And then what's up? So you did your alim course in Deoband, and then you did your iftat there as well. And you said you did your Arabic diploma there as well. And then you came to the United States.
Then I came here. I did my college here. I went back to India. Then from there, I went to Malaysia and did my PhD. And then I came back here to the United States.
MashaAllah, Musab. And I'm also a Musab student. I studied Sharh al-Aqaid al-Nasafiyya under Mufti Sahab. And honestly, I think it's one of the hardest, but one of the...
MashaAllah, you're a good student.
Jazakallah khair, Musab. The teacher is good, then the student automatically becomes good. Musab, if I was to ask you, what is Deoband?
It's a very easy question and at the same time very tough. What is Deoband? Deoband is the mother of many different movements. The movement of education and reformation, and movement of establishing madaris around the world. Many different groups around the world also politically claim that they follow the political ideology of Deoband, if there is any. For example, certain groups in Afghanistan and in other places. So it's their claim. Deoband does not endorse that. But it is true that many graduates from Darul Uloom Deoband 100 years ago, they went to Afghanistan and then they established madaris over there. If we want to understand Deoband, then the best person who can introduce this manhaj and this school of thought is the grandson of the founder of Darul Uloom Deoband. His name is Qari Muhammad Tayyib Sahab rahimahullah. So I have to read a few lines from his book.
Okay.
So he wrote his book. It's called Ulama-e Deoband Ka Dini Rukh Aur Unka Maslaki Mizaj.
Yes.
A very famous book. So on page 190 he said, and I read, गौर किया जाए तो शरई इस्तिलाह में इन सातों सनाबिल का खुलासा 4 अरकान ईमान, इस्लाम, ihsan और i'la'i kalimatullah हैं. So what he's saying that Deoband is based on these 4 main points: Iman, Islam, Ihsan, and I'la'u Kalimatillah. Now, I'la'u Kalimatillah depends. It has various different forms. For one of them is establishing madaris. And mashallah, you come from a madrasa which was established by the graduates of madaris that were established by the graduates of Darul Uloom Deoband. And that's how the case is in South Africa. If you go to England, if you go...
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world.
And the reason why I ask you that is because we, over the past so many years, we've been hearing that, like, as you said, like the mother and like the Ummul Madaris is Deoband, right? Yeah. And somebody that is like not only a student of Deoband but is a resident of the city of Deoband. There's nobody better to ask than I think you. And Mufti, moving forward, I'm not sure if you've heard or not, but very recent in the past couple days, there's a channel on YouTube. There's a podcast. They're called the Mad Mamluks, and they recently had a discussion, and they spoke about Deoband. They spoke about the people of Deoband, and they spoke about the scholars of Deoband. First of all, have you seen that? Has that crossed your?
Yeah, the video was actually going viral 3 days ago, and I watched this video on their channel for the first time. I wasn't aware of this channel, and it seems like it was like a Sunday night comedy show. They tried. It was a failing attempt to bring in some serious stuff.
Yeah, there were some serious allegations put against not only Deoband but some very huge names that are not only part of Deoband, but I feel like part of the curriculum of many madaris, or majority of madaris around.
Yeah,
the world.
if you really want to see how some untrained people speak about things that they have no authority in, you definitely want to see this. You definitely want to watch this show.
So, Musab, diving into that a little bit more, because obviously I think you being from Deoband, I would really want to get some information from you, just to learn for myself and our audience as well. They brought up some allegations against Moulana Ashraf Thanwi sahab, right? He's a huge personality, and some of the allegations were obviously, first of all, I'll start off with Bahishti Zewar, right? They said that book is there's too many mistakes in it, and like the things that he brings up, and to an extent, that some of them they also considered him as a pedo, which is like very hard for me to even say. But what's your stance, or what do you say about, first of all, Bahishti Zewar, and then people that say this about Moulana Ashraf Thanwi sahab? And not only that, right? Like I felt like they said that he's from the 1800s as well, right? So some of those things. So how what's your stance or perspective on, first of all, Moulana Ashraf Thanwi sahab, and how would you clear the air on him?
No, first of all, we need to understand the reason why we're talking about Hazrat Thanwi, Hakimul Ummat Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah, and the whole movement of Deoband today. That is because there was a video out by 3 individuals.
Yes.
Who were talking about Hazrat Thanwi and his book, The Heavenly Ornament, Bahishti Zewar.
Yeah.
So we need to understand first that whether these individuals had any authority on Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah. Did they even study or read any book of Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah? Can they even pronounce his name properly? And not only Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah is just one figure from Deoband. There are so many different, a large number of scholars. Hazrat Nanotwi, Moulana Yaqub Nanotwi, Moulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi, Moulana Anwar Shah Kashmiri, Mufti Kifayatullah, Sheikhul Mahmud Hassan. There are so many scholars. So Deoband is not Hazrat Thanwi, just like Sheikhul Mahmud Hassan is not, Deoband. So Deoband has many different scholars, and each of these scholars is very, very important in making Deoband, what it is today. So whoever gives his opinion about Deoband or Hazrat Thanwi needs to understand and needs to read him first. Then only he can be qualified. So what I think, these 3 people were not qualified at all. And the proof is that, one of them was not even able to pronounce Hazrat Thanwi's name properly. Yeah. And he was like, Mr. What did he say?
It was like Thanwi.
No, not Thanwi. He said Thanwi.
Thanwi.
Mr. Thanwi.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we can say maybe for some people it's hard to pronounce his name. It's not a big deal. But then they were claiming, the guy who was in 1800s. Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah passed away in 1940s.
Yes.
41 or 42. He graduated from Darul Uloom Deoband in 1892 under Moulana Yaqub Nanotwi. Moulana Yaqub Nanotwi was his teacher. So he was not in 1800s. This book, Bahishti Zewar, he wrote around after 1910. And so for you to give a legitimate opinion, you have to be qualified. And what I noticed after watching this video, that this main component was missing.
Musab, you spoke about.
You wanna listen to that clip?
If you have it.
Yes. Let's see how it starts off.
Ashraf Ali Thanwi.
Mr. Thanwi.
Yes.
Thanwi. Or Thanwi.
Thanwi.
So are you a fan of Thanwi? Because when you guys were in Egypt, me and my brother, the famous book.
So the third guy say, are you a fan
a fan of Thanwi?
Not Thanwi.
Thanwi, yeah.
So none of these three people were able to pronounce his name correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to watch it again.
Bahishti Zewar, written by who?
Ashraf Ali Thanwi.
Mr. Thanwi.
Mr. Thanwi. Okay. Yes.
Musab, so that was you speaking of Ashraf Ali Thanwi Sahab. They also mentioned a point that kind of that hit me, and obviously I didn't like it. They said, would you have your families read this book? Would you have your daughters read Moulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi's book, Bahishti Zewar? If I ask you this question, so how would you respond to that?
Yes, it depends, because if my daughter is 7-8 years old, not only Bahishti Zewar, I will perhaps not allow her to read Mukhtasar al-Quduri, Noor al-Idah. Okay, because mentally you have to be well equipped and trained to understand these masail. So if Bahishti Zewar is bad because it's not suitable for minor girls, then every fiqh book is bad. Because it contains pretty much same masail that are in other fiqh books.
That was another thing that I wanted to ask you, that they criticized Bahishti Zewar, but at the same time, if you pick up Quduri, Hidayah, or any of the mainstream fiqh books, you will find these masail in them, right? And because they're a part of life, they're a part of human life, they're a part of human cycle.
The accusation is so funny. They're saying the reason why we're criticizing this book, not necessarily these three, but the criticism has been on social media for quite some time, maybe last 2 weeks. So they're saying we're criticizing this book because it became quite popular. That's why we're criticizing. Well, it became popular in the subcontinent. Quduri, in Arabic, it was popular in the Arabic-speaking countries, in Iraq and in Ma Wara al-Nahr. So would you criticize Quduri, Mukhtasar al-Quduri, or Noor al-Idah because it was popular in certain area of the world?
Musab, my next question would be, the same podcast, the Mad Mamluks, they brought up something in which, obviously, I've never been to Deoband. I strongly probably affiliate myself with the ulama of Deoband, and I take pride in that. But I've never been there. I don't know how the city is or the madrasa is itself. Obviously, looking at you, I can tell it's something very special. But they brought up something that there is black magic done within the elites of Deoband, the elite scholars of Deoband. What's up? Can you put some light on this?
Yeah, but I have to make one point clear before I proceed about Bahishti Zewar. That point has to be mentioned.
Okay.
One of them criticized Bahishti Zewar, saying, "Oh, it just has masail and his personal opinions, and it doesn't have any dalil."
Okay.
One of them made this argument.
Yes.
People. So that exposes their qualification. Because they're not aware of how fiqh books work. Yeah. And especially Bahishti Zewar, many ulama, in fact, I know personally 3 ulama who worked on Bahishti Zewar. And there are new editions of Bahishti Zewar that in the Hasha, in the footnote, they provided all the dalail of the masail that Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah mentioned. And if I mentioned the name of 2 books, Noor al-Idah, you will not see a single dalil there. In Mukhtasar al-Quduri, you will not see a single dalil there, because it's not meant for that purpose.
For dalils, yeah.
So, now, speaking of your question, you said
magic.
Black magic.
In Deoband, and in the elites of Deoband.
Look, this guy who's making this accusation has to provide, the burden to prove it is on him. Just coming out on social media and making this silly accusation does not serve any purpose. It doesn't make any sense. I'm from Deoband. I was raised there. I studied under these mashayikh, and I cannot recall a single incident where Khuda na khasta they were practicing black magic. And if you want to see their official position, for example, Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah is the main person they are accusing. Let's see what Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah wrote himself about black magic.
Okay.
You know, I have, in fact,
you have everything on deck, huh?
So he talked about amaliyat. Forget about black magic. He talked about amaliyat in his book. It's called amaliyat. Just a second. Amaliyat o ta'wizat aur uske shar'i ahkam. So the shari ruling of amaliyat and ta'wizat.
Okay.
All right. So on page 24, this is what he says. Amaliyat to ta'wizat agar sahi aur jaiz ho, if they are permissible, meaning what you're saying is permissible, it's not shirk, it's not kufr, tab bhi unki haisiyat dunyavi asbab aur tibbi tadbir ki tarah hai. Even then they're like getting medical treatment. So what do you think of medical treatment? It is just jaiz. Therefore ta'wizat and amaliyat are just jaiz. And that too if they are permissible.
If they're permissible.
Meaning
like the wording in them.
The wordings and the purpose. And in his fatawa, Imdadul Fatawa, someone asked him a question. The question is, it's by the way, volume number 6. Yeah. So the question comes to Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah. He says, मुझको इसमें शुबा हो गया है, वो ये कि नाजायज़ झाड़ फूंक या कि जायज़ झाड़ फूंक, जैसा कि अक्सर दस्तूर है कि कुरान शरीफ की आयत से झाड़ फूंक करते हैं और मैं मुतलक नहीं करता, तो ये ख्याल मेरा ख़राब तो नहीं है. Meaning he's trying to ask that there are two types of झाड़ फूंक, amaliyat, ruqya. One is permissible, the other is impermissible. I don't do any of those. So is it okay if I don't do any of those? And if I just avoid amaliyat completely, ruqya completely, is my aqidah fine? So is my aqidah acceptable? This is what he's asking. And Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah said, jaiz to hai, meaning if you are practicing and exercising the jaiz amaliyat, the permissible ones, ये जायज़ तो है, मगर अफजल यही है कि ना किया जाए.
And we've already spoken about how they're going to be permissible.
Right. Yeah. And then he's saying जायज़ तो is permissible, but it's better that you don't do it. And आपका अक़ीदा ठीक है, meaning if you never exercise amaliyat and ruqya in your life, your aqidah is perfectly fine, no problem with that. So this is Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah talking about amaliyat. And black magic is haram, is kufr in certain circumstances, and he himself gave fatwa about it in Imdadul Fatawa in multiple places.
And that is coming from one of the elite, like the top people of Deoband. So I mean, there's nobody better than that you can look at and prove the point from there. So if I move forward, because they had a couple of things. I hope you don't mind me asking.
No.
The next thing that they brought up was, again, like the elite or the teachers of Deoband, they use jinns, right? And they use jinns to their benefit.
Okay, a serious allegation. I don't know if this guy met one of those jinns. That's the only way you can find out that I saw some people in closed doors were, using jinns. So for you to make that, make a valid claim, you must have seen these mashayikh using those jinns.
Yeah.
Right? And if it was behind the doors, in closed doors, how were you able to gain access over there? And this guy went to, according to this video, went to Saharanpur and Deoband for 1 or 2 days. All right.
Oh, okay.
So for 1 or 2 days, you gained the access, to what was happening behind the doors, and you were able to witness that, and now you're bringing it out to the whole world.
So you were there for 10 years?
I spent all my life there.
No, studying within the
Studying,
facility.
yes, more than 10 years.
And your house is like what, like right behind the madrasa?
I pray in Darul Uloom Deoband's masjid.
Okay.
So when I go to Deoband, that's where I go.
So if you're making a statement, I think definitely anybody would take your statement over.
But then
people that have only been
I
there
am
for
making
2
a
days.
statement, and maybe some people say, well, he has to be biased because he's from Deoband.
Yeah.
He's defending his own manhaj. He's defending on his mashayikh.
That was another question that I had.
I have to see what's written in books.
Okay.
So let's ask Hazrat Thanwi rahimullah again.
Okay.
From the same book.
Going back to your deck.
Hazrat Thanwi rahimullah in his book Amaliyat wa Ta'wizat ka Shari Hukum, on page 177, he says, Baaz log muwakkilon ko tabe karte hain. Muwakkil means here jinn. So some people try to subjugate jinns. जिसकी हकीकत ये है कि अमल के जोर से जिन्नात उस शख्स की खिदमत करने लगते हैं. So they do some amal and then jinnat start following you and they're obeying your commands and they do what you ask them to do. So इस तरह किसी से खिदमत लेना कि उसकी तीब खातिर दिली रजामंदी न हो हराम है. So to force someone to serve you is haram. Okay. And then he further says, बाज लोग जिन्नात को अमल से मुसख्खर कर लेते हैं, उनसे खूब काम लेते हैं, मगर शरीयत में ये जबर की वजह से हराम है. So some people try to subjugate jinns and they make them serve them, and that is because you're forcing someone against his will. It is clearly haram and forbidden. So Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah is very clear about it. Now, if somebody is claiming that this practice was being done in closed doors, he has to provide some evidence. And he didn't visit Deoband in 1800s. He visited there like maybe a couple of months or a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So recording it, videotaping it was possible. Maybe present some witnesses. Okay, so just coming out on social media and making some silly allegations is not right. It's a form of sectarianism, by the way.
Yeah. And we'll get into that while we're closing things off, but because I want to continue my question sequence and your rapid fire on. My next question I would ask is that they brought up halal houses, and within the Deoband area, and they pretty much put the madrasa. They said that the madrasa is basically accommodating this service. So you're not only a student, but you're a resident of that city. How is this? I wouldn't even say is this common, or does this even happen? How true is this?
I don't think he made that allegation against Deoband. He said, I was in Nadwa, I was in India.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
There were halal houses on campus.
On campus, yes.
On campus.
Yeah. That's
right. Very serious. When I heard that, I gave a call to a teacher in Darul Uloom Nadwatul Ulama.
Okay.
And I asked him, I know it's not happening there, but one of the former students of Nadwatul Ulama is claiming that you have halal centers on campus. So I know it's not happening, but what do you have to say? So this teacher said, are you joking? How is it even possible? So this is, it is strange that a similar allegation about Muslims, not about madrasas, about Nadwa or Deoband, similar allegation was raised by Hindu extremists in 2017. This guy is simply copying their allegations against Muslims. So there was a very famous national debate in India about triple talaq.
Yes.
In 2017.
You also spoke about this.
Yes, I have several videos on this issue, where on news channels, some people, especially from the right-wing Hindu organizations, they came and they said, Muslims practice halala, and so I, alhamdulillah, have the honor to defend Muslims and the Islamic position. I have several videos condemning halala and why and how it is not a practice in Islam. It's the setup. So if this guy has seen some halala centers, then he must have reported about those halala centers to the authorities, because definitely it is an illegal act
within the state of India.
Within the state. Okay. So if he is going back to India, make sure that he reports to the authority, because you saw a crime taking place and you didn't report. That's a crime within in itself. So as myself, I've never seen any halala center. I've never seen any halala house. I'm not aware of anything like that in Deoband or outside of Deoband or anywhere in India. In this clip, the show, I think they were talking about some halal centers in America.
In America, yes. I was going to ask you that, yeah.
So, again,
Are you aware of any of that?
They have to provide the proof and the address so that the authorities can go there. You know, it's a record. It has to be exposed before the community. I'm not here to defend any particular madrasa, any particular scholar. I know that in every school of thought, in every manhaj, in every maslak, or in every group, there are some good people, some bad people. Yeah. This is the human life. So I'm not defending all the ulama. I'm defending here the manhaj. What this guy did, he had his personal experience with some few scholars here in Chicago or in India. And but what he's doing, he's saying, he's accusing the entire manhaj. He's accusing all the ulama. So this blanket statement that he made, and not one, several blanket statements. And one thing I noticed, they started talking about this issue. Oh yeah, there's black magic in Medina, and in Makkah some people practice it. And then suddenly somebody jumped in and he said, yeah, we're not accusing all the Salafis. We're not accusing all the Sufis. But you have been throughout this video. And at the end, this is how the video concludes. He says, well, I hate this culture is disgusting. So now suddenly you start talking about the culture. So you're not talking about certain individuals. I don't care if certain individuals are involved in this evil practice. That's fima bainahum wa bain Allah. That's between them and Allah. What we're discussing here, that is not the position of ulama of Deoband.
Very true, Musab. Musab, you mentioned you cleared the stance on halal houses. Another question that I had in mind and I wanted to ask you was that one thing that one of the people on the podcast, they said that they spoke about bid'ah. They said that the teachers, they teach something else, and then again, like behind closed doors, it's different. So again, like I want to ask you that you're from Deoband, you're from the city of Deoband, you studied there. How true is that? Is it actually true that the teachers there, they teach something else in the classroom, and then when they're out in public, they're actually doing those innovations and bid'ahs that they just taught their students not to do?
All right, so they talk about bid'at and what is bid'ah and what is sunnah in the classroom, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm your teacher. I taught many I taught you Sharh al-Aqaid, by the way.
Yeah.
So we talked about bid'ah and sunnah and many different issues.
And Wahdatul Wujud is coming up.
Okay. So it was in a classroom. I am a graduate of Darul Deoband. Do you think, or did you ever see me practicing bid'at outside of the classroom and saying something different in the classroom?
No, all my other teachers are also Deobandis. I've never seen anybody.
Okay, so that's one testimony. Another thing is that these people, these elite ulama, they do evil practices or they commit bid'at closed doors. In front of who? Their own students or in front of public? If it is in front of public, it's not closed doors. It is open to everyone. So there has to be multiple incidents recorded.
Yes.
Where they're committing bid'at, and everybody should be aware of it. Nobody is aware of that. If they are committing these bid'at in front of their own students, the students would speak up. Okay? If not, in Dawra Hadith currently there are 1,800 students.
And none of these three individuals are students.
None of these three individuals are the students of Deoband. Two of them never went there, I believe. Yeah. Okay, one of them went there for one night.
Yeah, I think that's how it is, yeah.
So, this is just a baseless allegation.
What's up? Next question that I have is, they said that, or at least one of them, they said that the ulama of Deoband, or Deobandis in general, they have, they're different from Brelvis on, on face value, but deep down there's no difference. Before we get into this, I want you to clarify, or like I'll clarify myself too, and I think you'll second that we here, especially on this podcast, we're not spreading like sectarianism or anything like that, right? It's just that we want to clear the air on Deoband or any other school of thought or any other ideology that goes around. I'm not condemning anybody, or I'm not going against anybody, but at the same time I just want to know, like,
well, personally, I would love if there was no difference between us and the Brelvis and the Salafis, because I don't like to promote sectarianism.
Yeah.
Last year I was in India, and I had the honor to visit a Brelvi madrasa.
Yeah, I saw that.
Its video is also there on YouTube. So they, alhamdulillah, welcomed me. They allowed me to give a speech and to address their students. So it was a very good experience. I have many Salafi friends, many Brelvi friends.
And also, I think I've learned this from you, and obviously everybody, all the other teachers, that we in this time, we're working forward, and we're working more towards, like bringing the ummah back together.
Yes.
As Muslims, we live as Muslims. So like, the reason I'm asking you this question is because of, what they said and what your response is to that. It's not to say that, Brelvis are bad, or Deobandis are bad, or they're good or they're bad, vice versa. None of that.
There are many differences between Brelvis and Deobandis in many masail. For example, in Milad.
Yeah.
The Deobandis do not celebrate Milad, the Brelvis do.
Mm-hmm.
In the Aqidah of Ilmul Ghaib,
yes,
the Deobandis believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not Alimul Ghaib. He had certain knowledge about Ghaib. It was given to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever amount of knowledge he was given by Allah, he knew that, and he did not know beyond that. The Brelvis do not adhere to this Aqidah. They have a different Aqidah regarding this mas'ala, Ilmul Ghaib. The issue of Hazir and Nazir.
Yes.
The issue of Nur Bashar. Okay, you name it. There are so many different issues between the Deobandis and Brelvis. Historically, there were many munazarat and debates between the scholars of both sides. I mean, to claim that there is no difference between the Deobandis and Brelvis.
I mean, there is no difference because we're all Muslims, right?
Of course, there is none. And as I said,
yeah,
I would love to see that there is no difference.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there is. I mean, if you're saying there is none, and the Deobandis are like Brelvis, is a foolish statement.
Yeah.
Again, it shows that this person is not qualified at all. This guy went, I think, to Mauritania, to Azhar. I'm not raising any objection against his credibility and his scholarship. He may be a good scholar. I don't know him. But when it comes to the Deobandi discourses, understanding the manhaj of ulama of Deoband, I think he has zero knowledge.
Musab, they also brought up a point in which they spoke about, one of the three brothers, they brought up this point that they had a trip. He had a trip to Saharanpur, and over there, he went to a Dhikr majlis, and over there the Dhikr was very, very loud, and etc. Musab, first of all, can you speak about Dhikr? And then I'm assuming you know the place that he went to in Saharanpur. I'm not from India, haven't been there.
In his interview, he didn't mention the name of that sheikh. He said, I'm not going to mention his name, but let me mention his name because I know who he's talking about. It's Sheikh Talha, rahimahullah, passed away last year. He's the son of Moulana Zakaria, Shaykh al-Hadith, the author of Fazail Amal and Abiti.
I think you were teaching us when we got the news of his fast. It was last year.
Last year, yes. So Sheikh Talha was the main sheikh in Saharanpur until last year, and he used to have his majalisul zikr. So the way, in dramatic way, he described that majlisul zikr as if something, very like satanic worship was taking place in that masjid.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to it,
the way how he described
that's
it,
how it sounded.
That's how it sounded. But in reality, there has been ikhtilaf, difference of opinion among scholars, whether what is better, doing zikrullah out loud or silently. There is ikhtilaf.
Okay.
The ikhtilaf is not which way of doing zikr is permissible. The ikhtilaf is what is better. So those ulama who say that doing zikrullah silently is better, they don't say that doing it out loud is haram. Plus we see there is a hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In fact, Mufti Taqi Usmani, Hafizahullah, mentioned in his book Fatawa Usmani. So let me give you the reference so that people understand that I'm just not making blanket statements without any references like this guy.
You're not giving personal opinions.
And not personal opinions. So first of all, doing dhikrullah in the masjid. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ مَنَعَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ أَنْ يُذْكَرَ فِي اسْمُهُ. So masajid are the places of zikrullah. If zikrullah won't take place in the masajid, then where? Then there is a narration in Sahih Muslim, and Mufti Taqi Usmani Hafizahullah is writing this Fatawa Usmani, first volume, page number 164. So he says, in Sahih Muslim, there is a narration by Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu an. He said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to say out loud, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. This is dhikr. And it was done out loud.
And
by
that's what was
Rasulullah
happening in the majlis in Saharanpur, right?
That was happening in the majlis. They were not, chanting some Vedas mantra. They were, they were saying La ilaha illallah. So if somebody had a problem with La ilaha illallah, then he needs to check his iman.
Yeah. Musab, I think that was an end to the list of my questions, but
two important issues are still remaining. Number one is wahdatul wujud.
Yes, that was.
And we're not done with the Bahishti Zewars. These people's allegation against Bahishti Zewar, and that Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah was, promoting pedophilia.
Yes.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah, wahdatul wujud. That
Yes.
just came onto my mind. Can you? So, they spoke about wahdatul wujud. Can you just speak about that? Just first of all, like in a general.
What did he say? Do you remember?
Yeah. So he spoke about the very similar. About the bid'ah part, it was very similar to that. It was some, if I'm not quoting them 100%.
Oh, he said that Wahdatul Wujud is a Hindu belief.
Yes.
They called it moksha.
Yes.
Okay. So, and according to this belief, Allah is present in every matter, everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. So this is Wahdatul Wujud physically, and then this guy, one of them he confirmed physically, and he said yes. So, and it's a Hindu aqidah, moksha, and it was adopted by the ulama in the subcontinent.
Yeah.
So, it shows that I would advise this individual, this sheikh, whoever he is, that please read before you start preaching or before you start teaching. It's very important that you read. And on these sensitive issues, the mas'ala of wahdatul wujud belongs to ilmul kalam.
Yeah.
Before it belongs to ilmul tasawwuf.
Yes.
You will not find this in the classical books of ilmul kalam, but the mas'ala is related to ilmul kalam. For example, today, the issue is whether life exists anywhere else other than this earth.
Yeah.
Now, if people will talk about this and will prove it, this mas'ala will belong to ilmul kalam, not aqidah. So, as time progresses, ilmul kalam also progresses. So, you need to be an expert of ilmul kalam before you even, open your mouth about these serious and sensitive issues. I quote Fatawa Usmani again, by Mufti Taqi Usmani, who is a true representative of the Deobandi manhaj, and there is no need for his introduction.
Yeah.
So, what he says, it is first volume, page 66. He says, responding to a question, someone asked, what is wahdatul wujud? And is it okay to believe in wahdatul wujud? And he responds, वहदतुल वजूद का सही मतलब ये है कि इस कायनात में हकीकी और मुकम्मल वजूद सिर्फ ज़ाते बारी ताला का है. वहदतुल वजूद means that the only true existence belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That will that will never perish, never originated. उसके सिवा हर वजूद बेसबात फानी और ना मुकम्मल है. Everything other than Allah that exists, it will perish one day. That is wahdatul wujud. Then he gives an example. He says, इसकी नज़ीर यूं समझिए जैसे दिन के वक्त आसमान पर सूरज के मौजूद होने की वजह से सितारे नजर नहीं आते. So during the broad daylight, you don't see stars, you just see the sun. अगरचे वो मौजूद हैं, though the stars exist, but you cannot see them during the daylight, broad daylight. लेकिन सूरज का वजूद उन पर इस तरह गालिब हो जाता है कि उनका वजूद नजर नहीं आता. So the existence of sun takes over the existence of those stars. They are there, but we cannot see them.
Yeah.
This is wahdatul wujud. What's wrong in this? I mean, we're, by believing in wahdatul wujud, and by the way, it is not necessary that one even believes in this ta'bir, in this expression of the aqidah. As long as you believe that Allah is the originator of the universe and He gave us existence, that as long as you believe in that, you're good.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe in wahdatul wujud, but the interpretation of wahdatul wujud provided by this guy is not what the akabir and the ulama of Deoband believe.
You know, another thing that they kind of brought up was that, again, the like I was telling you, you know how they said about the difference between Deobandis and Brelvis is just not only that, you know how the teachers, they teach something in the class and then they speak about something else behind closed doors. They also brought that up when they were speaking about Wahdatul Wujud, and they were like, the teachers, they talk about it within the class and to the students, and I'm asking you this question because you're a student of Deoband, that whatever the teachers teach in Aqidah or in you know, and then especially on the subject of Wahdatul Wujud, is that what they teach and preach?
Of course, whatever they teach, they preach.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any ill practices in closed doors. I'm not aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the one who's claiming needs to provide proofs.
Right.
And even if he provides some proofs, maybe about certain madrasa here in Chicago or in Karachi or in Bangladesh, it doesn't matter. Why? Because we're talking about the manhaj.
Yeah.
It might be an ill practice of certain scholar, but
or certain people
from Deoband, but it's not the manhaj. The manhaj is what's written in books and what is practiced by common general ulama that adhere to this ideology.
Yes.
Because Mufti Taqi Usmani Hafizahullah himself writes in this fatwa, he says that Wahdatul Wujud ka ye matlab saaf, waze aur darust hai. This is a clear meaning of Wahdatul Wujud. Isse aage, beyond this, iski jo falsafiyana tabirat ki gayi hain, all other interpretations of Wahdatul Wujud, philosophical interpretations, wo badi khatarnak hain, they are very dangerous. अगर उसमें गुलू हो जाए तो इस अकीदे की सरहदें कुफर तक जा मिलती हैं. So if you exaggerate in this aqidah, the fear is that you might become kafir. I mean,
we're going back to Sharul Aqaid's class. Musab, before,
and you know what? One thing you forgot to mention. This guy, they started talking about, you know, pan masala and
yeah,
and they say, you know, you get some sort of hallucination after you. You know, by the way, on a lighter note, I have some pan I can offer you.
Yeah.
Let me know if you see Jibreel. I want you to see Jibreel and maybe have a trip to Mi'raj after eating pan. If it was that easy, everybody would do it.
Musab, when we were getting into Wahdatul Wujud, you brought up Ashraf Thanwi's and their accusation of pedophilia. Can you go into that?
Yes. First of all, we need to make one thing clear. Nikah al-saghir wa-saghira, marriage, you know, at a young age, is permissible in Islam, but it is not, nowadays, it's not practiced, it's not necessary. And if anything that is permissible in Islam, permissible, not necessary, not required, not wajib, not farz, it's just permissible whether you do it or you don't do it. If it contradicts the law of the land, then we must follow the law of the land. So, for example, we live in America, and if the minimum age of getting married here is suppose 16 years old, the girl has to be 16, then we must follow that. Okay, at least she has to be 16 or older. But in Islam, it's permissible for saghir and saghira, for minor girl and minor boy, to get married. And it's not Hazrat Thanwi who's talking about it. It's in the Quran. It's in the Quran. And let me give you the ayat. You know, it's see, you have to, that shows again what I said many times in today's interview. Look, Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah At-Talaq, ayah number 4, وَاللَّائِي يَئِسْنَ مِنَ الْمَحِيضِ مِن نِسَائِكُمْ إن ارتبتم فعدتهن ثلاثة أشهر واللائي لم يحزن. Okay, what is the translation? As for your women who have lost hope of menstruation, and in case you have a doubt, the prescribed period of waiting for them is 3 months. And also for those who have not menstruated yet, who are not experiencing monthly cycle yet. وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِزْنَ. Why would they have to be in iddah?
Because they would get married.
Because they got married.
Yeah.
And they were divorced.
Yeah.
Right? And so their waiting period is 3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
Now let me give you another ayah. This ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah number 49. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نكحتم المؤمنات ثم طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها. According to this ayah, if divorce takes place without marital relation, then there is no iddah at all. فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها. Now in Surah Al-Talaq, Allah is saying there is iddah.
Yes.
3 months.
The difference between
and wallahi, and this iddah is also applicable to wallahi lam yahizn.
Yeah.
That means that it is possible if Saghir and Saghira get married, then there is marital relation between them. I mean, see, the problem comes when one assumes that if Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah mentioned this masala in Bahishti Zewar, then they assume that on one side the husband must be an adult, 40 years old, 100 years old, and the Saghira like 6 years old.
Yeah.
So when you have this assumption, obviously it looks bad.
Yeah.
But Saghir and Saghira, it was a common practice until recent in India, not only in India, here in America. Until 1970, 71, I believe, the civil law of this country in most states stated that the minimum age for a girl should be 12.
Yeah, I remember going over this, yeah.
Now, Saghira becomes Kabira Baligha usually at the age of 14 or 15. Mm-hmm. Not that she cannot be Baligha before that. She can be, but usually she is 14, 15. And according to the law, she could get married at the age of 12. That was in 1970s. Right? We're talking about, about 80, 90 years back in history when Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah wrote this book, Bahishti Zewar. When I was in madrasa, I was in the 4th year of Alim course, and I think I was 14 at that time. I had a classmate from Mewat. You know Mewat,
India.
Mewat, India. Famous the place where Moulana went with the first Jamaat.
Yeah.
So my classmate, he was also around my age. He was in the 4th year of Alim course. He was married.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and he told us that I got married 2 years ago. So assume he was 15. So he got married at the age of 13.
Yeah. So right? It was common even.
It was common even until recently.
Recent, yeah.
And not only among Muslims, but also among Hindus.
Yeah.
The entire culture was like that. So the mas'ala has to be mentioned in the books of fiqh. That if a Saghir and Saghira are married and suppose they have marital relation, then what is the hukum?
This is what the hukum is, okay, yeah.
So hypothetical situations are there in fiqh. Suppose there is one famous masala. In Kitabun Nikah in Hidayah, Babu Subutin Nasab, the first masala.
Okay.
Hidayah, Kitabun Nikah, Babu Subutin Nasab, first masala. The husband says, a man says to a woman, In tazawwajtuki fa anti taliqun. Okay, if I get married to you, you're divorced.
Yeah.
So the moment they get married, she will be divorced. Okay, but the funny situation is that she gives birth to a child after 6 months. 6 months is the minimum period of pregnancy.
Yeah.
So who's the father? Sahibul Hidayah says the father is the husband of that woman.
That woman, yeah.
How did that happen? So Sahibul Hidayah is saying that he will not be called Waladul Zina. Nasab will be sabit. It's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
But it is mentioned in Hidayah. The first mas'ala. Yeah. Right? Nobody would ever do that. Nobody will say to a woman, in tazawwajtuki fa anti taliqun. Because the moment they do ijab and qabul, she will be divorced. What's the point of getting married? Mm-hmm. But the mas'ala is there because it's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
So Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah stands on his, that is very important. What was his position about child marriage? So in his book,
and this is Moulana Ashraf Thanwi's position himself in his own book.
In his own book, now what he says, he has another book, it's called Islami Shadi.
Mm-hmm. It's
about marriage.
Okay.
All right. So Hazrat Thanwi says, नाबालिगी के ज़माने में निकाह नहीं करना चाहिए. So if सगीर और सगीरा, if they're minor, it's not advised that they get married. And he says it's all because this is the advice in the Quran. وَابْتَلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ.
Yeah.
So it's in Surah An-Nisa. Test them until they attain the age of marriage. حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحِ. So then he says, ये आयत साफ मुशीर है. This ayah indicates कि निकाह का पसंदीदा ज़माना बुलूग के बाद का है. The best age for getting married is after one gets after reaching puberty. और दरुस्ती अकल के बाद निकाह किया जाए ताकि जिसका मामला हो वो उसको समझ ले. Meaning once you've attained adulthood, then you should get married so that you can manage your family life properly. In another book, there's a book, very famous book by Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah, it's called Islah Inqilab Ummat. So he says there are many harms in marrying off at a very young age. It is best to marry off when the boy is able to earn and the girl is able to bear the responsibility of running the household. This is Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah's position.
And then there's people.
And then there are people who are saying that, oh, he supported pedophilia or he was promoting it.
I think this is just
ignorance. Ignorance at its summit.
It's now it gets very clear, and you know, like you said, these hypothetical masail or questions, they're going to be in any way you look at it. If you look at nikah, you'll find it. You look at buyu', you'll find it. You look at anything, like but they have to be mentioned. And if they're being mentioned in Bahishti Zewar or they're being mentioned in other books, I feel like if somebody is like accusing Moulana Ashraf Thanwi for just mentioning it in his book, then you know this same masala is also mentioned in Hidayah. It's also mentioned in Quduri. Then basically you're accusing them. And you know, you just mentioned the ayahs of the Quran in Surah Talaq, right? And the whole we just went over the wallahi ya'isna min al-mahid. And essentially, if you are saying that what Moulana Ashraf Thanwi Sahab wrote or what it's written in these books is something that is wrong, then essentially if you look at it from another angle or a deeper perspective, you're going against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran himself.
You know, Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah was not a prophet. He may have made many mistakes, okay, in his books. La kamala illa lillah.
Yeah.
The issue is you disagree with the ulama, with the fuqaha, with the muhaddiseen, with their due respect in mind. When you start accusing them and calling them with names, that is a wrong attitude. It's un-Islamic. Let me give you two examples of hypothetical masail in fiqh. The first example is, and it's in Fatawa Shami, a person commits bestiality. So does he do ghusl or not? The masala is there. Does that mean that Shami is promoting bestiality? Because it is possible that what if someone does it and now he regrets? He depends to Allah, but he wants to know that how do I clean myself? So where does he go? He will go to the fuqaha and he will ask them, what do I do? Because I regret now, but I want to live my life clean.
Yeah.
So if a faqih explains the Islamic position to him, whether you have to do ghusl or you don't have to do, it doesn't mean that he's promoting bestiality. It doesn't mean that he's saying, yeah, what you did is normal. Another masala of hypothetical situation. In Kitab al-Siyar, in Hanafi fiqh books, the masala is that if the enemies, they use Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam as their shield, then how do the Muslim soldiers react? I mean, is it even possible that Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam would be used as shield in this ummah after the final prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? But hypothetically, the masala is there. Another masala, in Kitab al-Nikah, husband and wife after getting married, the wife lives in the east, the husband lives in the west, they never met. After a couple of years, she gives birth to a child. Who's the father? The husband. So these are hypothetical masail, and they are there in all fiqh books. So if Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah simply translated those masail into Urdu, and now you're accusing him and you're saying that he promoted pedophilia and he promoted child rape, this is nothing but insanity and ignorance.
What's up? Any words of wisdom before we close off?
I would say that the purpose of this discussion was not to promote certain school of thought. We are here to defend haqq.
Yeah.
We're not here to promote sectarianism. I hate it.
I second that, Musab.
And I would love to go and meet with the Brelvi brothers and the Salafi brothers and anyone who is Muslim.
Yeah.
So we have our differences. I practice the Deobandi manhaj of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And it's an honor for me that I practice that, alhamdulillah. But that doesn't mean that I start calling other people kafir or mushrik or bid'atis and start accusing them unjustly. That is wrong. So ilm is not sufficient. Tarbiyah is required after ilm. Then only you and others can get benefit from your ilm.
Yeah.
After watching this video, what I observed is that, people may have knowledge, but if tarbiyah is missing, then they will cause a lot of problems to the community.
And Musab, I think you'll second this as well, is that our goal or motive behind even having this discussion, this came up and ended up, we ended up going down the whole list, but our goal or motive even behind speaking about this is not to belittle anybody or to make somebody look bad or any of that, or to make fun of anybody. I think it's more of, when there's a line and when that's crossed, it's our job, right, to defend, and not only to defend, but to put the truth out there, right, to put the truth out to the masses, and defend what we believe in and what we think is right, and not only defend it because that's our opinion, or regardless of our opinion. I think defend it with proofs, and I think you did that. Like you had delees right on deck, right? And anytime I would ask you a question, you would bring a delil to it, and I think not me, because I'm just a student, but as a view, I think any other ulama out there, I think it's the responsibility, even as us as normal Muslims, is to not only preach the deen of the Prophet ﷺ, but to defend it at the same time, right? And whenever we see that line is being crossed, then we go out there, and I think we want to let the masses know as well that this is what's actually written in the books, or this is what this actually means, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning in the Quran, and then this is just what the fuqaha are saying after that. Right? So even to the audience, our goal isn't to belittle anybody or to make fun of anybody. It's just to educate the masses, right? And fulfill our duty of defending haqq. Right? Either than that, Musab,
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much.
No, Musab, Jazakallah khair for your time. Jazakallah khair for your deletes on deck. But Musa, either than that, honestly speaking, it was an honor to have you on the show, and I think we will definitely have to sit one more time, go deep into your journey of Deoband and how that experience was, and everything else. Musa, before we finish, Musa, you also studied in Malaysia, right?
I did, yes.
We'll keep it there. Next time we'll speak about that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Musab. Jazakallah khair for joining us. And this is your host, Hamas Najeeb, signing off, inshallah. And Jazakallah khair for everybody for joining us and watching us. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. And please do not forget to subscribe and like his channel.
Jazakallah khair, Musab.